Brother and lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. And in this video, we're answering the question, how much money do Arsenal have to spend in this summer? We are hearing staggering amounts of money from Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool, and all these other big clubs around the Premier League. It's becoming very, very expensive to stay in the top four. So how much money will Arsenal spend, with Mikel Arteta already saying that he wants a new midfield, a forward, a centre-back, and a right-back? The question for me, for you in the comment box below is, how much do you think Arsenal should spend in this summer? How much do you think is enough to replace Granit Xhaka, to bring in a new defensive midfielder, a centre-forward, a centre-back, and a right-back? How much do you think is enough, bearing in mind that we are in the UEFA Champions League and we need to compete for the Premier League title next year? Hit the like button for me. Let's get this video to 500 likes, and of course, let's have the conversations in the comment box below. Now, there are so many reports claiming and stating very different figures on what Arsenal will spend, on how much we will have to spend. But I think the most accurate one and most reasonable one comes in from the Independent, that have said that Arsenal will spend over 150 million this summer, including player sales and also funding from the Kroenke. So in a statement, they have written and said Mikel Arteta will have a budget of over 150 million for the summer through club funds and sales, as the Arsenal manager seeks to further run his squad for another Premier League title challenge. Arteta's priority is a midfielder, with West Ham's Declan Rice the main target, but the manager is also looking at a forward who can move into the centre, a defender as well. Those arrivals will be complemented by the sales, with Arsenal willing to listen to offers for Kieran Tierney, Reece Nelson, Florian Balogun, Nuno Tavares, and Nicola Pepe as well. Arteta believes Arsenal have pushed themselves to the limit this season, but exacting the nature of the title challenge has given them further insight into whether and where his squad is short. Of particular note has been that the team have adapted to certain absences, with William Saliba's injury proving very, very crucial. So this summer, the Independent is saying Arsenal will have 150 million pounds to spend. That includes player sales, all right? So all the other reports that I've been looking at have been claiming that Arsenal will spend over 250 million, over 300 million now that we are in the UEFA Champions League. And you know what? I feel that is totally wide off the mark. That is totally untrue, because the reason why I don't buy into the stories, you have FFP. Arsenal is not one of the clubs like Real Madrid, Barcelona, or Manchester City. We are not winning silverware. We do not have that kind of revenue that we used to make maybe 20 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. So at the moment, we need to be spending very, very carefully. We need to look at our incomings and then our expenditures. And that's why I think that this report is very accurate from the Independent. You look at 150 million pounds, including player sales, that is perfect. There is no way Arsenal will have to answer any questions from FFP, any questions from the Premier League in terms of revenue, where our revenue is coming from, and where we are getting all those huge amounts of money to spend. So is 150 million enough for us to spend? According to this article, Mikel Arteta wants a midfielder as a priority, but of course we know from various sources that are very credible, it's going to be two midfielders this summer, a centre forward as quoted by the Independent, and also a centre back as well. I think the way we capitulated when William Saliba picked up that injury, it just sent communication signals to Mikel Arteta that maybe this summer you need to strengthen your centre back positions even better. You need to find formidable players that can easily replace each other. Now that we have the UEFA Champions League, injuries are going to be so easy to obtain. But even if it's not injury, burnout is going to be on the rise as well through the squad. And if we are going to challenge again for the Premier League, it's going to have to be a lot of quality and a lot of work. So The 150 million, again, still according to the Independent, they're saying that Arsenal will be able to spend this huge amount of money. One, because they're back in the UEFA Champions League, and also because we finished in that second place. So Liverpool last year, but won, finished second, and they got a total package of around 159 million pounds. It is also estimated that Arsenal will have a total package close to 159 million pounds. That is in terms of prize money from the Premier League. That doesn't include TV rights. That doesn't include revenue from the fans, tickets, match day revenue, and everything like that. So 159 million, that's very good. The UEFA Champions League will give us some money just for qualification. It could be around 50 million. I'm not really very sure, but it could be around 50, 60 million for qualification. So overall, just by qualifying for the UEFA Champions League and finishing second, Arsenal have already earned themselves a total package of 200 million. It's right there, not just to spend. Of course, there's so many other expenditures for the club. It doesn't mean that every inch of money that comes in has to be spent on the market. Doesn't work like that. There's salaries to work on. You have so many other things to work on as well at the club. Rehabilitations of the Emirates Stadium and all those and all those things. So, but we are in a poor position, and we are in a much better position than we have been in the last 5 years. Okay, because in the last 5 years, our performances have been characterized by inconsistencies in going in and out of Europe. Sometimes we've been in the Europa League, sometimes we have not, and sometimes we go to the Europa League and don't even do anything. Actually, all the times we've been in the Europa League, we've not done anything. We've not actually won the title, so it doesn't guarantee us anything, right? Our qualification for the Europa League didn't guarantee us anything. But right now, back in the UEFA Champions League, finishing second, that guarantees us a very, very big package. So according to Fabrizio Romano, Arsenal looking at world-class signings with 150 million to spend. We are looking at world-class signings, and that will include Declan Rice, players like Moises Caicedo. I've seen players like Lautaro Martinez, Moussa Diaby, all linked with Arsenal. So the idea here is, if we have gotten ourselves into the UEFA Champions League positions, how do we stay there? Okay, I think that's the big question that Mikel Arteta will seek to answer next season. How do we stay in the UEFA Champions League? But then how do we keep on pushing Manchester City? Eventually, I believe City will capitulate. Eventually, I think City will become that side that can lose the title, can drop the title. The last 2 seasons, they've been very, very good in the last 15 games, winning almost each and every game of the last 10, last 15. But it's not going to be always like that. So for us to capitalize, Arsenal have to keep on pushing Manchester City every single season. In other words, we have to become the new Liverpool. At least for the next 3, 4, 5 years, Arsenal need to be, able to get to 90 points. Okay, this season 84 points, not bad, but we could have made it to 90. And if we did make it to 90, you never know. Maybe we could have won the title. Maybe, just maybe, right? So Fabrizio says that they're now looking at world-class signings. They're looking at those players that can take Arsenal to the next level, that can push the project to the next level, and that's why they want Declan Rice very, very much. Now, the other strategy that I've seen in the papers and on the blogs as well comes in from Ghana blog, another very, very reliable Arsenal source, very close to the Athletic and very close to David Ornstein. They're saying that Arsenal will be looking at the English Premier League market for signings this summer. That explains Moises Caicedo. It explains Declan Rice. It also explains a couple of other signings that we're trying to pursue from Premier League clubs, including Romeo Lavia as well and James Maddison. But then also we will be looking at the Brazilian market for young players between 18 years and 20, okay? So we are looking at the possibility of bringing in players who have the potential of Gabriel Martinelli, of the potential of Marquinhos, the potential of players like Julian Alvarez as well at Manchester City. And that's not even a bad shot, because we have already been linked with some few players, including Vitor Roque. I think Roque should have signed for Barcelona in January. He should have signed for Arsenal in January as well. There are a few things that need to be outlined. Number one, I think, should be how much they are willing to settle for. I think Arsenal don't want to pay in excess of 30 million. Barca also don't want to pay in excess of 30 million. But Vitor Roque is one young talent, one young player that we've got to keep our eyes on. How do we fund this? How do we fund our transfer strategy? So number one, we will have funding from the Cronkies. That is confirmed by the Independent. Arsenal will have funding from the Cronkies, who have been very, very pleased with Mikel Arteta and are willing to push and inject more money into the squad. One thing we have to talk about here is that Arsenal will not run the same transfer strategy as Brighton and Borussia Dortmund. That was confirmed by Mikel Arteta because he said that would be disastrous and that is absolutely very, very, very bad for the project. They know what Brighton do, they know what Borussia Dortmund do, and that is not what they're looking to do. So, in the end, it could be that Arsenal are looking to become a much bigger side. I know Brighton get a lot of money. I know Borussia Dortmund get a lot of money through player sales. If we were to sell Odegaard now, we bought him at 30, we could sell him at 130. If we were to sell Saka now, maybe 150. But I'm looking at all these other big packages, right? I'm looking at the bigger picture, and I'm like, we don't even need to sell our players to become a big money-making machine for the Cronkies. And that's why I'm very, very, positive. So the Cronkies will give us money. They'll continue to give us more money even in this summer. I reckon it would be around 90 million. I think they will buy for us one player. That's what they've always done. They maybe give us. They might have given us 50 million for Ben White, 45 for Thomas Partey, and maybe they could give us 90 million for Declan Rice. You never know, 90 or 100 million for Declan Rice, and then the rest of the cash we have to look for it in player sales. So I think player sales this summer, is quite a viable way of raising cash. Number one, Kieran Tierney will be leaving, and I think Newcastle are really locked onto signing him. 35 million for Kieran Tierney. Look, I don't want him to go. I love him. He's a darling, but there is nothing to do. There is nothing more to do. If his departure means that Arsenal win the UCL, if his departure means that Arsenal win the Premier League, then I've got to choose Arsenal over Kieran Tierney. But it's such a very good player, such a darling to me. But 35 million pounds, you can't turn that down, to be honest, right? Because 35 million literally gets us Gabriel Viega. 35 million brings in Ivan Frasneda, right? 35 million would sign us a Sacha boy from Galatasaray, and 35 million could potentially sign James Maddison from Leicester City at the moment. So you see where I'm going with this. So 35 million in Kieran Tierney. Arsenal will look to sell him. Arsenal will also look to sell Rob Holding. I've written 20 million here, but I wonder if Rob Holding is worth more than we think. If a club like Aston Villa, if a club like maybe Burnley, I'm looking at all those promoted sides: Luton Town, Burnley, Sheffield United, maybe Crystal Palace as well. If they do lose McGahey, I think Rob Holding could be leaving Arsenal for something like 25 million pounds. If Arsenal do their negotiation very wisely, he might cost around 25 and might be bringing in very, very good revenue. Granit Xhaka will be leaving Arsenal for Bayer Leverkusen for 15 million. That is confirmed. Nuno Tavares as well is one of the other players that Arsenal will let go. Albert Sambi-Lokonga will be leaving if offers arrive, and Florin Balogun as well, plus Nicola Pepe. So I've been calculating here, and I've come up with a total of 125 million minus the sale of Florin Balogun. I personally have a problem with Florin Balogun leaving Arsenal, but today, according to Kaya Kainak, the player doesn't want to be a second striker. He doesn't want to be, a bench warmer at Arsenal, and Arsenal don't have any options apart from selling him. So Pepe 10 million, Lokonga 20, Tavares 25, Xhaka 15, Holding 20, and Kieran Tierney 35. That could amount to 125 million. Look, Everyone might look at this as huge money, as a massive opportunity for us to sign Caicedo and Declan Rice. But why this is actually very, very disastrous is it means that we are again trimming our squad. Yes, there are a few players that have not been really important, including Pepe, including Tavares, who has been out on loan, and maybe Albert Samuel Lokonga, who joined Crystal Palace on loan in January as well. But you look at Kieran Tierney, we will need to replace that one. Rob Holding, we will need to replace that one as well. Xhaka, we will need to replace him and eventually replace Mohamed El Neni. So 125 million in player sales, that might be good, but we might just need to sell Florian Balogun. However hard it is going to be, however difficult it's going to be, we will need to sell Florian Balogun. Now, with Balogun, clubs like Milan are waiting, okay? Clubs like AC Milan are waiting. Brighton is waiting. And I think I would prefer him to go to AC Milan. He can develop very well there. They have a very, very good league in the Italian Serie A right now. Young talents are thriving. Victor Osimhen, Kavica Kvaratskhelia. You have young players at AC Milan as well. The likes of Daichi Kamada that are joining. The likes of Di Ketela, such players as well. So I think Milan would be the best destination. But I also think Milan would be the club that give us the money we want, around 40 million, plus a buyback clause. Do not sell Florian Balogun minus a buyback clause. We've seen what he's done in the French League with Reims. 20 goals this season. No Arsenal player has scored any more goals in the league more than Florian Balogun. He scored. I mean, if he was at Arsenal, and we add 20 more goals to what we've scored, that would be 108 goals this season. We win the league. There's no question there. We win. You add his goals to Arsenal's performance this season, we win the league. So Florian Balogun as well is going to be moving out of the door. That is reliable information from Kaya Kainak, and that is how much the budget is going to be and how we are going to fund it. Just to say this, Simon Jordan on TalkSport has said that Arsenal will need 200 million just to stay in the top 4, and I agree with him. Okay, I absolutely and totally agree with him. If Newcastle spend, Chelsea spend, Liverpool spend, and Spurs spend, trust me, one of those clubs or two of those clubs will be claiming a spot in the top 4. You don't want to lose your spot. Arsenal don't want to lose their spot. Next season, for me, I believe the first 3 clubs, that will be Manchester City, Arsenal, and maybe Manchester United, will be able to amass a total of 90 points. 3 clubs will have 90 points and above, and 2 of them will not win the league. If Arsenal want to get 6 more points just to stay in the top 4 or even win the title, we've got to go big. Absolutely big. But look, we'll be talking about this budget, as in subsequent videos. If you're going to spend 90 on Declan Rice, 80 on Caicedo, the budget is done. It's not enough. So we might need to do our selling very, very quickly. But I'll speak to you right in the next one.